Well, good afternoon, and thank you for attending today's webinar on the Commercial Corridor Property Revitalization Program. I'm Anna Garrison, and I am the Economic Development Manager for the City of Rockford. I'm also joined today with Francisca French, and I will let Francisca introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Francisca French. I am the Economic Development Diversity and Procurement Coordinator for the City of Rockford, and I'm here to tell you the ins and outs about the new program.
So I'm going to let Francisca get the PowerPoint ready to start, but I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you again for everybody for joining us today and to learn more about this program. We're very excited to offer this program and have built it off of the feedback we get from businesses and property owners in our commercial corridors. And we want to offer access to funding for the needs that you are facing. And this program has been approved by City Council, and the application for it will open next week. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on the city's website. During the webinar, please feel free to submit questions and we will ask those at the end. So I will turn it over to Francisca.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. So for this program, it offers forgivable loans to businesses and property owners who make investments in commercial and industrial spaces in specific corridors within Rockford. So those eligible corridors are the 11th Street corridor, which is between 16th Avenue and Bypass 20, Charles Street corridor, which is between 17th Avenue and South Alpine, Harrison Avenue corridor, which is between Rock River and South Alpine, North Main corridor, which is between Brown Avenue and Campus Hill Boulevard, the Rockton Avenue corridor, which is between Van Wee and West Riverside Boulevard, the South Alpine corridor, just between Larson Avenue and Bypass 20, and the South Main Street corridor, which is between Kent Street and Marcasano Drive. And the funding source for this program is the gaming tax revenue and the American Rescue Plan Act funds. I know this map is a little small to see, but it is available on the program's website, on the City of Rockford's website. And this will show all of the corridors that are eligible to receive funding for this program. As you will see, you must be between the areas that are shown here of each corridor. So for the program overview, this program offers to cover 75% of the project cost up to $25,000 to assist property owners and or the tenants to make building improvements. The ideal projects will add value and extend the longevity of the qualifying properties and make substantial or aesthetic improvements to the property. This is saying that we would like to see that the property has visible improvements with whatever your project is. The recipients are required to provide at least 25% of the overall project cost, and the total project cost can be larger than $31,250, but the city's maximum portion that you would be eligible for is $25,000. So that's the maximum amount that the city will cover. Your project can be however much it needs to be. For this program, the application will open on January 20th, 2025 at 8 a.m. and it will close on June 20th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. I'll have more to say about that in just 1 minute. Each of the identified corridors is designated $125,000 in funds, and the funds are available on a first-come, first-served basis until the entire corridor's funding is designated or until the program ends, whichever comes first. So that's an important piece to know, so that although the program technically ends June 20th, if your specific corridor where the property is located, if all of the funds are depleted before June 25th for that specific corridor, then you would not be able to access those funds from other corridors. It has to be your available corridor that still has designated funds, or June 20th, whichever comes first. For the property requirements, so again, your property must be located within the eligible corridor or one of the eligible corridors, and it must be zoned commercial or industrial property. That is important because there are some properties that are in areas that you would typically think is a commercial property, but it's zoned as residential. So just be sure that your property is located commercial or industrial. You also must be current on your property taxes. So if that is not currently current, if that is not current as of right now, please be sure to make it so. And if the building has been designated by the city of Rockford as a local landmark or historic district, additional certification will be needed by the Historic Preservation Commission. Tenants of commercial or industrial buildings are encouraged to partner with the property owners to create projects. The project and available funds are limited to project sites, and a business or property owner who has multiple locations may be able to apply, but you will have to apply separately, and each application will be evaluated independently. Eligible projects include for-profit businesses that were established on or before December 1st of 2024, and that must be able to be documented through either the Winnebago County or the state of Illinois, and it has to be a legally established and operating business within the city of Rockford's municipal boundaries in one of the designated corridors that I spoke about previously. Property owners within one of the designated you have to be within one of the designated corridors, zoned commercial or industrial. And this is for exterior improvements, including windows, doors, roofs, tuck pointing, siding, landscaping, and parking lots. So we will allow parking lots for this program. And the project must align with the cost that the applicant would be responsible for in that particular space if you are a tenant. And the work needs to provide a reasonable sense of improvement and should not leave the property in an unfinished or unsafe condition. Ineligible projects include home-based businesses, businesses that were established on or after December 2nd, 2024, businesses that primarily engage in speculative activities that develop profits from fluctuations in price rather than normal course of business or trade. Nonprofit organizations are not eligible, and this is not available for residential property owners. The funds for this program are on a matching basis, and the matching funds are provided in a 5-year forgivable loan. So those loans will actually go down incrementally every year until you reach the zero portion where the loan has been fully forgiven after the 5-year period. For the process of applying to this program, the application opens June 20th, 2025, and you can, which is Monday, you can go to the City of Rockford's website and type in rockfordil.gov/commercial corridor program, and you can get to that program page, and you can click there for the neighborly application. So this entire application process is done online through the neighborly portal. And for the first portion of it, you will need the applicant information, the property information, and the project summary. So once that is submitted to us, then we will review it, and you will go through a pre-application process. That pre-application process, we will review it, ensure that you're within an applicable corridor, and also that your program aligns with your project aligns with the program. And once that is done, then you will receive a pre-approval letter. Your pre-approval letter, you will receive it both by physical mail as well as email. And at that point, you will start your 90-day due diligence period. Within the 90-day due diligence period, you will need to submit additional documentation, also submit it through the neighborly portal. And with that documentation, you will need to include, if you are a tenant, your current lease and a letter from the building owner identifying they give consent for you to do the project at that location. If you are the property owner, you will need to verify your ownership over the property. You will also need to submit drawings that illustrate the work with outlines of what is being done. That does not necessarily mean that unless you're doing some type of major construction that would need a architectural design, But if you have something else, you can submit just an image for maybe Google Images or something like that. And you can draw on that image where the work is going to be done and how you imagine that the work will be done. We will also need the project budget, project estimates, and a project timeline. And then we will also need your matching funds documentation. So that it can either be a loan letter from the bank, or it can be a statement that shows that you have the available funds for the matching portion, the 25% of matching portion. You will also need to submit your property insurance. And for that property insurance, keep in mind that you will need to, once we get to the point of signing the development agreement, you will need to, at that period, add the city of Rockford on as a rider for that insurance. After that, after the 90-day due diligence period, and you have submitted all of the documentation, then we will give approval for the project. Approval means that you have moved to the next step to sign the development agreement. Approval does not mean approval to begin the project. Please keep in mind that when you sign the development agreement, there are several steps to that process. So you will come in, you will sign as the applicant, then the City of Rockford's legal department will sign, and the City of Rockford's Deputy Director of the Economic Development team will sign as well. So not until all of those portions are done are you actually allowed to then move forward to begin your project. Please do not begin your project before you received an email from me saying that you have your fully executed development agreement, because any work that is started before that development agreement is fully executed will result in automatic disqualification from the program. So for construction projects, please remember that building permits or other permits that are required for the type of work that you're doing must be pulled and approved before you begin that piece. And also prevailing wage and certified payroll will apply to this project, to your project. So we will have some training sessions on that once you go through the whole process, and we will discuss that further. Upon completion of the project, the City of Rockford will inspect for compliance and other project submissions, and will please remain in communication with the City of Rockford if there are any changes in the scope of the project when the city needs to do any further approval. For the funds process and how you receive your reimbursement for that, once the entire project is completed, please submit the invoices to the City of Rockford, and the City of Rockford will verify that all of the work is completed and that you were in compliance with the program. And that includes all of the building permits, certified payrolls, and things like that were all submitted throughout the project. The city will then provide the appropriate portion of the invoice based off of that agreement, and you will receive your payment. For post-award documentation, so there will be pieces that we will need after you receive your award, and that is the business must remain open and within operation in the City of Rockford during the 5-year forgiveness period. So that entire time, you must remain open. And if you are the property owner, you must remain in ownership of that property during the 5-year forgiveness period. A portion, as I said before, a portion of the loan will be forgiven annually during that 5-year period, and the recipient must remain in compliance with all program requirements and coding and things like that during the 5-year period. Non-compliance of this will result in the recipient returning either full or partial funding. So for example, let's say if your business closes within 3 years, then you would owe us a portion of whatever the amount is that we funded you for your project. So that is all that I have for the program information. If you have any questions, or if there are any questions in the chat, please go ahead and share those now.
Francisca, we have a few questions that have come in. The first is, do I need to use the online platform to submit an application?
Yes, you will have to use the Neighborly portal to submit the application and all of the documents. So the application is only available through that online portal. There are no paper applications that are available. So please go into that. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me and I can help walk you through that process if you're having trouble to sign into Neighborly or to upload documents or things like that. But they will all need to go through Neighborly.
Thank you. Um, I am on an eligible street, but not between the cross streets included. Am I able to apply?
So if you are on that street, you will have to be within the cross streets. If you are outside of that area, that is unfortunately an ineligible area, so you will not be able to apply if you are not within those areas.
We had a follow-up question that's tied to that. It said, how close to the corridors do you have to be? So can you give a little bit more information on the corridor and what we actually mean by that?
So I will go back to the image of the map. So if you see on these where the lines are and the bolded pieces with the street names, those are the areas where you would have to be. So your building has to actually be on those streets within the allowable areas where you would be able to qualify for the program.
And so when we're saying 11th Street or 7th or South Alpine, we actually mean on 11th Street directly in between those two cross streets. It's not an area off of that as well.
Correct.
I completed work on my building last year. Can I submit that previously completed project for this program?
So you would not be able to submit that for the project piece of it, but please let us know what you have completed and things like that. You may be able to use a portion of that for the matching portion.
We also got a question, is it possible to get a copy of the recording? We came in a little late and missed the first 2 points.
Yes, you can. We will have this available on the Corridor Programs website. So we'll have a link to it where you can click on it and you can watch it at your leisure.
We have a question about, I just purchased my building last week. Am I eligible? For that person, I've taken down your name and I will follow up directly on what we would need to do in regards to that. And then we have another question, and it's saying I cannot understand the map, the exterior map. If you could share a little bit more information on what you're looking for there, I don't quite understand the question. And then for information on the PowerPoint slide, the PowerPoint will also be available on the city's website on the corridors page there with the recording as well. There's a question, are there any upcoming grants for other areas?
So we will have another forgivable loan program, and that is going to be a TIF area, or it's called TIF 50/50. It's going to be the same type of program. There are going to be a little bit different pieces of it in consideration with the matching portion, but there will be additional areas that it will be available for that program. And it will be a 5-year forgivable loan as well. It won't be a grant.
And that program actually was announced today. You can find additional information on that program on the city's website. And there is a webinar in regards to that program on January 27th at 11 a.m. So strongly encourage you to register for that webinar. For the question in regards to the property on 14th, 13th, 7th Street, that is not in an eligible corridor for this program. But I would strongly encourage you to look at the program that Francisca just referenced that we talked about that was announced today, our TIF Commercial and Industrial Rehabilitation Program. So I would strongly encourage that. And are there any home buying property incentives within the city of Rockford? So our programs today that we're talking about are coming out of our Economic Development Division. You could suggest you calling into the City of Rockford's Community and Economic Development Department. and they would be able to answer questions when it comes to any home buying property incentives. I don't know of any current programs though that are available at this time. And then we had a question about another location off of Alpine, north of Newburgh. If you can, Francisca, do you want to scroll to actually the end of the slides? For all of these that are location-based questions, Francisca and I's information is at the end. I would suggest sending us an email and we can confirm or not. We're getting quite a few that are just specific addresses, and rather than going through those right now, send us an email and we will either confirm or let you know what other options might be available for any of those properties. Do we have any other questions that are in general about the program and how it will function? Okay. Well, we want to again thank you for your time. As a reminder, the program's application will open next Monday. You can find a link through the city's website, rockfordil.gov/commercial corridor program. As you can see, Francisca and I's information is on here, so please feel free to reach out with any questions. Francisca, do you have anything else to add?
No, that's it. Just like Anna said, reach out to us if you have any questions or if you're having any issues with that neighborly portal. I would say as soon as it opens, go in, look at it. You can kind of feel around. If you have any questions, ask it sooner rather than later. Since this is a first come, first served basis, you really don't want to wait because you don't want to possibly run out of funds within whatever area you're in. So go in there, kind of have your project in mind as if you are going in to apply for it, and go ahead and apply. If you have any issues, then reach out to us and we can help you right away with that.
Great.
And that's it.
Great. Well, we appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.
Thank you.